Past videos about how things are going with the dismantling of the old sarcophagus of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant have aroused your interest. I decided to cover this topic more. Continues to follow the disassembly of the old sarcophagus, which is under the new NBK arch, which is called the consiment. There is a lot of information on the internet on this subject, but it is all fake. Some people write that the sarcophagus is being dismantled, while others say it is not. Where is the truth is unclear. But before I get to the video, I want to recommend you my new channel Vision or Crime, where I tell about interesting and criminal stories and mysterious disappearances, shocking crimes in the USA and Europe. I am sure you will not be bored. Follow the link that appeared in the upper right corner. Also, the link to the channel I placed in the description to this video. So, let's continue. The information for this clip is taken from one of the workers who works at the plant. The conversation took place about 2 years ago. He said that everything is not as simple as people would like it to be. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. It's easy to talk about it on the internet and on TV. It's one thing to talk about it. It's quite another thing to do it. Let's talk again today about this much anticipated topic that worries, I would say, the whole world. Because dismantling the old shelter facility at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant is very important. This topic is a real hot-button issue, and no one knows when it will end. Of course, current events in the world have made their adjustments. When dismantling the fourth power unit, the work is carried out not only day and evening. People work in 4 shifts, that is, around the clock, with very little break time and very little snack time. As there is a lot of work to be done, like a mountain. As the workers themselves say, they could dismantle this whole sarcophagus and the whole block in a month. But you have to understand that it's not all that easy. Because of the great danger of rising radiation particles, they can't do it. And so many people were already affected in 1986 and later. So they work with high safety in order to keep people healthy. Almost the whole structure is in a very emergency condition. One team is repairing so that the sarcophagus doesn't collapse before its time, the other team is taking it apart, and one obstructs the other very much. Sometimes you get lost in the action plans, and it's hard to put into words. There are a lot of people working there, and almost all the workers are experienced specialists, in other words, professionals in their field. All the specialists are educated. And everyone who comes to them has strictly passed all the doctors when applying for a job. There are no simple give-and-take workers. Everyone is responsible for their own business. Here's what one of the experts who works there said. We now have people from almost all over the world at the station, scientists from all over Europe, also many scientists from Russia, Belarus, and many other countries. We all have the same task, to do this work so that there would be no consequences. I was asked a question. They say in the news that you will fulfill the plan until 2023 and that you will dismantle sarcophagus 4 and the 4th power block, too? To which he replied, yes, that's what it says in the plan, alright, but everyone knows it's unrealistic. The dismantlement will be prolonged for many more years. The following questions were asked. Is there something dangerous under the sarcophagus that can't be dismantled, like an elephant's leg? To which he answered, it's not really an elephant's leg, it's far from dangerous. And what's under the 4th unit? Under the old sarcophagus is the very same ill-fated exploded 4th reactor, which contains a huge amount of various radioactive substances and debris that were dumped by the accident cleanup workers from the roof of the building next to it. The likelihood of the old sarcophagus collapsing means that the multi-ton slabs covering the reactor could fall on the reactor and raise large amounts of radioactive particles into the air, which would settle on the inner walls of the new arched containment structure, the new safe confinement, turning everything inside into a huge source of radiation. Even outside of the new containment structure, it will be found out. Under the old sarcophagus is a huge amount of radioactive material that is mixed with concrete, sand, and other substances used in the cleanup of accidents. Without disposal and burial of these substances, they will be a constant hazard to the people who work at the plant. Workers were asked questions. Are bloggers filming that nuclear spent fuel from Europe will be brought under the sarcophagus? The answer was, no, this is not true, this is a load of crap they made up. They also said the problem had to be solved in two ways: to reinforce the dangerous, unstable structures or to dismantle them. In the end, the second option was chosen. However, this idea was not supported by some experts. They note that it would be impossible to dismantle the object of Shelter 1 because there would have to be people inside the NBK, and radioactive dust would rise into the air when dismantling the sarcophagus. A contract was recently signed with a contractor to develop a project for the dismantlement of the old sarcophagus. It is assumed that the work will be carried out in 3 stages. During the first and second stages, engineers will assess the current state of the shelter object. However, in addition to this, it is planned to carry out design work to understand what kind of equipment will be needed to dismantle the old sarcophagus. Work with large volumes of radioactive waste. In addition, work will be carried out to ensure the maximum safety of the people who will be working at the site. The third stage will be the most difficult in its course. They will purchase the equipment needed to dismantle the sarcophagus, transport the dismantled parts, and begin the dismantlement itself. The work will be complicated by the fact that some parts of the sarcophagus for 30 years, exposed not only to the effects of radiation, but also natural corrosion, they rotted. Dismantling each individual part of the sarcophagus will increase the risk of collapse of the entire structure, so engineers will have to solve the problem of how to reinforce each remaining element of the sarcophagus. To dismantle the heavy, multi-ton concrete slabs and metal structures, it is planned to use 4 special cranes with a lifting capacity of 50 tons each. They were installed during the construction of the new NBK protective structure. They will be controlled remotely by a human operator. In addition, there are several mobile platforms equipped with robotic manipulators inside the new structure. Each of them is equipped with the necessary tools for dismantling, cutting, crushing, and transferring parts of dismantled structures. In addition, there are already various attachable manipulators that will enable the sarcophagus to be dismantled efficiently and accurately. In other words, there is already some machinery inside the new NBK that will eliminate human presence near the old sarcophagus during its disassembly. During disassembly of the sarcophagus, dust accumulated on its walls and roof containing radioactive particles will certainly rise. However, according to Alexander Novikov, Deputy Technical Director for Safety at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, these emissions can be minimized. Scientists point out that even if the sarcophagus is destroyed, only a small amount of dust can escape from it. But in order to quickly clean the sarcophagus area, it is likely that the closed ventilation system installed during the construction of the RBC will be used. In addition, it is likely that other decontamination systems will be used, which will be established in preparation for the dismantlement. The dismantled parts are planned to be stored in a separate process room in the new protective structure. There they will be crushed into smaller fragments, which will be placed in airtight containers and sent for burial in the burial site. Friends, do you remember, in the beginning of the video, I told you about other versions of disassembly of the sarcophagus above the 4th power unit? Well, some people believe that supposedly the arch was built in order to remove just one roof and dismantle the protective sarcophagus, and all that remains there, namely 4 hovering reactors, to bury with tractors with earth and make a hill, removing the ends, and there will be such a bulk mountain, like a mine rock phone, like from coal mines. This is just an assumption, a guess, a prediction, although on the one hand it may be true as an option. But on the other hand, later all the muck will get into the underwater rivers, and in the nearest cities, where there are wells, it will be forbidden to drink water. But in fact, this is just a fairy tale. Who knows, you never know, I told you now, but for example in 50 years may really be. What do you think? I thank you for watching. Your support is very important to me. Your comments and thumbs up motivate me to release new videos on interesting topics. Subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the new videos.